Hi, and welcome to the Ask Dr. Angela podcast with everyone's favorite OBGYN, Dr. Angela Jones. Have you ever been too embarrassed or shy to ask your own doctor about your, girl parts? Well, you've come to the right place to get straight answers. Feel free to ask Dr. Angela anything women's health related. Obstetrics and gynecology? She keeps it real. Pregnancy? She's been there, done that. Menopause? She'll get you through. Young or old, Dr. Angela's got you covered, girl. Now here's Dr. Angela.
What's good, people? This is Dr. Angela, everyone's favorite OBGYN, and I would like to officially welcome you to episode 193 of the Ask Dr. Angela podcast. I hope that today finds everyone well. I have to tell you, yesterday was probably one of the worst days that I've had in a very long time. And I don't have many bad days. I just have pretty much, as I'm getting older, learned to let things, roll off my shoulder. I don't, hold grudges. I just really try to keep it moving. And as my dad tells me on a daily basis, keep my focus. But yesterday was just awful. And I think it was awful for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm on my period, which, that's not too much information. I'm Ask Dr. Angela, and I'm talking predominantly to women. But I flipping hate my period. And one of the things that I'm noticing is not only am I eating everything under the sun, but I'm also very labile with regard to my mood. I had a ton of stuff going on yesterday. Not to mention all of my weeks are busy, but I had office hours and then I had to take my vehicle in to get an oil change and they were running behind, which, then made me late for my guitar lesson, which basically ended up being canceled. And I knew something was wrong when I went actually to the facility where I take guitar and I went to reschedule my lessons for the rest of the month, and I almost literally burst into tears. And I was like, oh my gosh, Ange, are you really crying over this? And it wasn't that. It's just that my emotions were really all over the place. When in fact, maybe 10 minutes before, I was ready to bite the head off of the guy at the dealership that was trying to buy my FJ Cruiser. Just ridiculous. But I'm not really one to take a lot of medications, but I am one that is constantly in the role of observer, and that includes for myself and my own behaviors and attitudes. So I was like, Jones, reel that in. Not to mention the fact that today, my mini-me and wife, we are taking our first foray into the world of homemade meatballs and sauce. My mini-me came home the other week and she said, Mommy, I want real meatballs and real sauce. So, I know a ton of Italian folks. We're in Jersey, for crying out loud. So we got a good recipe and we're going to go at it today. I will let you know how it goes. So having gotten all of those things off of my chest, let's jump into today's topic. It's on fetal macrosomia and diabetes. And let me just tell you, it is very real. Whether this is gestational diabetes, which means, diabetes that's diagnosed during pregnancy, or if this is pre-existing diabetes, i.e. you had the diabetes before pregnancy and now we're managing it. Good sugar or glucose control is paramount with a capital P, because one of the consequences of poor glucose or sugar control in diabetes is fetal macrosomia. And let me tell you, people, this is real. Last week, I literally saw up close and personal what poorly controlled blood sugars can do to a baby. I actually did a C-section on a patient of mine, first baby, pre-existing diabetic, 37 weeks. That baby weighed almost 14 pounds. It was like 13 pounds, 7 or 8 ounces. Like unbelievable. We obviously delivered this patient by C-section and 37 weeks, right? Full term is, 37 weeks is full term. 40 weeks is, typically when people have their EDD or estimated date of delivery. So this baby was born at 37 weeks and was like 13 pounds, 7 or 8 ounces. Can we say huge? Huge, huge. I mean, I almost needed a crane to lift me lifting the baby. I mean, it was just humongous. And I gotta tell you, no matter how many C-sections I do, deliveries, surgeries, whether they're major or minor, I always walk in there with a very healthy respect of anatomy and just what could possibly go wrong. And I was really, I'm going to tell you, the entire week leading up to this case, because we did this case on a weekend, I was actually praying, dear God, please let this patient deliver before Saturday, because I really didn't want to do the case. I was just very nervous about everything that could have gone wrong. You know, you've got a uterus that's overly distended, not only by the polyhydramnios or all of the extra fluid that is also a consequence of diabetes and pregnancy, but we also have a uterus that's distended by a really big baby. You know, we have a mom that's obese. So just those things alone, I'm worried about an increased risk of uterine atony or the uterus not being able to contract down on itself because of being so distended for an extended period of time. And if the uterus can't contract down on itself, what does that mean? Bleeding. You know, the increased risk of infection because of the diabetes and because of, you know, the patient being overweight. And let's talk about the baby. You know, babies being born at 37 weeks and from a mom that's affected with diabetes, you know, increased risk of electrolyte abnormalities, respiratory issues, potentially feeding issues maintaining body temperature, issues maintaining blood sugar levels. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I'm really happy to say, however, that the delivery went off without any issues. The patient is doing amazing and did well post-delivery, and even in the postpartum course is doing fantastic. And the baby, although ready for kindergarten now, I'm just kidding, is also doing well. So gestational diabetes or pre-existing diabetes, sugar control is paramount. And, you know, certainly folks that don't manage things in pregnancy, because we all know the physiology in pregnancy is very different than it is outside of the pregnant state. A lot of times folks don't realize just how important really tight blood sugar control is in pregnancy. We like fastings to be less than 95. We like the 2-hour postprandial values to be less than 120. This is really serious stuff, folks, because if you don't have good sugar control, it can lead to a lot of really bad consequences. And, you know, stillbirth and fetal death is certainly one of the more serious of those things. So if you're diabetic, please make sure that you are doing your part to ensure that you have great sugar control. And this is just, you know, something that I wanted to share with you all, because diabetes and pregnancy is something that I see on a daily basis, and good glucose control is paramount. I love sharing my thoughts and my experiences with you all. But if you have a question or a topic that you would like featured on the Ask Dr. Angela podcast, you know how to reach me, www.askdrangela.com. That's AskDrangela. You can directly email me, or you can reach out to me on any of my social media platforms, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I'm just a direct message away. You can also, if you visit the website, sign up for my weekly newsletter, as well as this podcast, which, you know, from what we're hearing, most folks think is pretty amazing. In closing, I'm going to leave you with something that my Aunt Av just shared with me this week. She said, Ange, your great-grandmother and your grandmother used to say to me, if you can't be a help, don't be a hindrance. I liked it, so that's why I'm sharing it with you. Until next time, look better, feel better, be better. Looking forward to reconnecting on episode 194 of the Ask Dr. Angela podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Ask Dr. Angela podcast. For more information on women's health and the show notes for this episode, please visit Dr. Angela at www.askdrangela.com. While you're there, don't forget to leave your own message for Dr. Angela. See you soon. All of the information provided and discussed in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not take the place of consulting a physician. This podcast is not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any disease or illness and does not and should not replace treatment from a medical professional.